systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody having a great week. If you're not having a great week, you probably will be, because Saturday, UFC 328, one of the best cards of the year. I did say that for UFC 327, and I mean, it absolutely lived up to the hype. So if this card lives up to the hype, it is going to be phenomenal for DFS. 13 fights, 2 5-round fights, 2 title fights. That equals phenomenal prize pools. Massive, 200,000 to first. In the flagship, I am super pumped for this week. Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland, Susurkaev, Joshua Van, and a whole lot of great fights, top to bottom. Excited to talk through them with you, Big Marley. How's your week going? What are your thoughts on this card?
Yeah, it's going well. Great card. I think it's going to be a tricky DFS card. I think a lot of the ownership is going to be focused in the top half of this card. But I'm excited for it, man. Both title fights are going to be good ones. And really the Tyra Van fight, this might be the first of many fights of these guys because they're so young. They're going to be at the top of that division for so long. So I'm looking forward to this one, but Chimaev is going to smash.
Yeah, Chimaev's going to smash. I do agree with that. Some BS stuff, though, kicking his knee, kicking his leg. I don't know if you saw that at the face-offs not too long ago. Yeah, it gave him, when they faced off, gave him like a teep kick, except got him in the leg. And yeah, I mean, it could have easily buckled his knee and tore his ACL or something. It looks like it is fine. The line has not moved since then, but that's some BS stuff. YSN, what's going on? Always in here. Best card of the year. I agree. I thought UFC 327 was great. That Hokit Blades fight, it's hard to beat that. Top to bottom, that card was phenomenal, but this card looks great as well. We got Cameron in here, Michael Peterson in here as well. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Again, all we ask, as always, is the like button and the subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. Broad slate overview for me, again, 2 5-round fights. Obviously going to get a ton of ownership is Chimaev, and then the Tyra Van fight is going to be very popular. I think that Van will be more popular than Tyra when it's all said and done. Let me check quick if we have it that way. We do have it that way. Big Marley does as well, and that's just because of the range that he's in that 7,500 range. It's a lot easier to find pivots near the high 8Ks, low 9Ks than it is the low 7Ks. 10 of the 13 fights are expected to finish as well, just like, last week, I believe. So 10 of 13 fights expected to finish, 2 5-round fights. That means a lot of big scores is needed, is how I'm looking at this. Yeah, press conference was definitely hype. Yeah, I mean, Chimaev's an absolute junkyard dog. Definitely excited to watch this one on Saturday. Top to bottom, though, Langley in here. Hope you're doing well. Any broadside overview for you, Big Marley, before we go fight by fight?
Yeah, I think the 2 title fights in the mid-range is going to soak up a lot of ownership. So if you can get outside of that, you're already getting different, I think. But looking forward to talking it out with you.
Yeah, I mean, just like he was talking about the mid-range, too, just going to go top to bottom. This is the stone we're sharing over here. This does get color-coded and completely filled in tomorrow. Got to be a premium member for that. Projections, ownership, core report, FanDuel, DraftKings, cash on there as well. Slate plan, breaking down every single fight, and the slate overview, fight rankings, Big Marley does. You can see right here, he has breakdowns and his prediction in each round and how the fight goes. Tier rankings breaks down upper tier, mid-tier, lower tier. We also do have an education video, more education MMA. Big Marley and I talk for about an hour and a half, all things related to MMA DFS, answer questions that people had as well. I'll just quick throw over to our homepage, shippination.com. If you have not checked it out, we have multiple deals, as you can see right here, staring at you in the face. $49 with SaberSim and the Discord for your first month is the best deal we have right now. NBA playoffs, a lot of fun. Content every day for that. PGA just locked today, but we do have showdown content. And the PGA Championship is next week. Huge prizes out there. MLB's going on. MMA, of course. NASCAR, big prizes. And the NHL playoffs. You can get all of that content for $49 for your first month. If you're looking at other deals, bottom left, join the nation. If you're not trying this out and you don't want to spend $49, you can get in for $19, 5 days. You'll get access to all these sports with this deal as well. You get SaberSim and you get the Discord. And if you're here just MMA and you're watching and playing every single week, but that's all you're playing, we do have single sport packages as well. Single sport MMA. You can find that less than $1 a day for all of our content. Just $20 more for SaberSim makes it very easy to build multiple lineups, which I definitely recommend if you are playing the high variance sports of a DFS like we are. What I was going to say is a lot of wrestlers on this card. Chimaev 5.29, Tyra over 3, Sean Brady over 3, Dawson Rebecki over 3, Sabatini over 4, Susurkaev over 2.5, Clayton Carpenter about 2. So a lot of wrestlers throughout this. 10 of the 13 expected to finish. A loaded mid-tier, 2 5-rounders. We are definitely going to need some big boy scores. We're definitely going to need some dogs, though. We play a salary-based game, and that is a great segue to kick off the first fight of the night. Jose Ochoa -175, taking on Clayton Carpenter +150. This is one of the 3 fights expected to go the distance at -170. Ochoa +235 inside the distance. Carpenter +400. This is the fight to start it off for me, where I prefer the dog in Clayton Carpenter. I think Ochoa, the 25-year-old, will want to strike. I think Clayton Carpenter, a solid, well-rounded fighter, but his easiest path, is to wrestle and get it to the mat. 7,400 at +150 that wants to wrestle, sign me up for sure. Right in that Joshua Van range, 7,500. He's 7,400. A lot of ownership will go to Van, so I think his ownership will be in check. Clayton Carpenter, one of my favorite lower tier dogs to start it off. I hope he wins, and I hope he wins a wrestling-based. I mean, obviously you want to finish, but that's not the most likely outcome. I will take any wrestling-based decision win right now at 7,400. So he's my preferred play to start it off. How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be probably striker versus wrestler, where if Carpenter wins, he's probably going to put up a decent score. So he is a solid play at $7,400. But for me, I think my way is going to be, this is my fight to get a little bit different. I do like Ochoa. I think he's going to be aggressive. He'll probably get taken down a couple times, but he'll be throwing up submissions. I think he could possibly get one. But he could also get back to his feet and really hurt Carpenter at some point in this fight. So if Ochoa can get a finish in the first or second round, ideally the first round, I think he can get different because he won't be owned. Nobody's going to go to him when they're going to be going to Chimaev, Tyra, trying to get up to Ateba. There's just so many other people that they're going to go to over Ochoa. So I think that he is just the nastier fighter of the two, and I like him to get a TKO at some point. So Ochoa is going to be my probably number one way on this card of getting different. I think the rest of the card, I pretty much am eating a lot of chalk. So I like Carpenter as well. He makes a lot of sense for DFS, but the ownership will be there for Carpenter. I don't think it'll be there for Ochoa. So he's my way to get different.
Yeah, all right. I can't argue. I like what I see from this guy. Definitely is aggressive, a good striker. Why I struggled with it is, 8,800. Like, he's +650 in round 1. That is not a great round 1 prop, especially when you're comparing to others. And there's possible, like, if you told me it got a round 2 knockout, I would definitely play some. But there's plenty of round 2 knockouts for him that's not optimal on this card, where he scores 90, and 90 is probably not enough at 8,800, which is why it's a concern. But like you said, he's going to be low owned. He is most definitely a pivot in this upper tier in chalkier lineups when you are playing a Tyra or Van, a Chimaev. Like, if you start your lineup Chimaev Van, which is the most popular way I think people are going to start, Ochoa is a way you can get different right here. So I don't hate it. I will have some in my pool, +235 inside the distance. When you look at that versus his ownership, he's more likely to finish than his ownership will show. But again, not all finishes I do not think will be optimal. Corey in the house, what's going on? Any chance fading Chimaev is optimal? Thinking King Green Sabatini. We'll get there. We will definitely get there when we talk about Chimaev and Strickland when it is all said and done. Yeah, there you go. No worries at all. You read my mind. Yeah, first fight of the night, though. Solid one for Big Marley, in his opinion, for Ochoa. Low-owned play. I will have a little bit. Carpenter, though, one of my favorite dogs on this slate in the lower tier. Let's get to the second highest price and the second biggest favorite on the card, Chimaev's buddy, Baisangur Susurkaev -650, taking on was +475, -200 for this fight to finish. Susurkaev -155 inside the distance. Santos +650. Susurkaev open -140 inside the distance, now -155. Susurkaev in round 1 open +225, now +215. My problem is, at the end of the day, he's 9,600 and Chimaev's 9,500, and I'm going to play a bunch of Chimaev. So it's hard for me to play Susurkaev, and I do not like double spend teams. I do not like the Gautier Chimaev. I don't like Susurkaev Chimaev. I don't think there's enough value on this card. And I think the high 8K, low 9K range has enough upside in its own right, where like a King Green, like Corey said, or Pat Sabatini could outscore Susurkaev in a vacuum. So I don't see myself getting too much of him. Djorden Santos is pretty tough too, but he's still minus 650. And if he puts up 118, 117 at relatively low ownership, you would take that. So I'm curious to hear your take, but I have a feeling I know it with only a 2-star on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's really more of a 1-star for me because I know I'm not going to play Susurkaev. The only reason to play him is to get different because he's right in between Chimaev and Ateba. So there's going to be no ownership on his side. And if he goes out there, gets a quick win bonus. I mean, that's probably his only way to get on the optimal lineup is a quick win bonus because I don't see him landing
3 knockdowns.
I mean, yeah, I guess something like that could happen. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's what you're playing for. And you're just getting different by playing Susurkaev. Santos 6,600. If he really affords you everything else, maybe he can get there in a decision if not many underdogs come through. But I'm just going to fade this fight. Hope that Susurkaev scores 90 points, and that's just not going to cut it.
You don't think what would you set his takedown prop at? A half, 1.5, like plus money.
Yeah, probably like 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think he wrestles?
I doubt it. I just think he's just a way better striker. No real need to wrestle.
All right. Yeah. Regardless, I don't like him too much at 9,600. There's other ways I'm going to get different. Him being 100 more than Chimaev, like so he's way more interesting. If people are watching the show and just say like you're like all aboard the Strickland train and you're not going to play much Chimaev, then that's when like Susurkaev becomes a very solid play. I mean, he's minus 650. He opened, as you can see, I put these odds up on Tuesday. He was minus 550, so he's taken $1 so far since then. His inside the distance prop is taking money. More likely than not, I think he scored 95 plus with like 118 point upside. So the problem is I think Chimaev dominates. Big Marley thinks Chimaev dominates. He's coming off like a 242 DK point performance. So if you're thinking Chimaev he can do half of that and still do well. But if you do think Chimaev does wrestle and dominates and you're putting like 120 in for him, it's really hard to make a 1v1 pivot in that same range. And at 9,600, you need a big boy score if Chimaev does do that. So yeah, and Djorden Santos, like I like plenty of other dogs on this card. Talked about Carpenter. We'll talk about William Gomis, a very low scorer. Kopylov, Jim Miller, 6,900. Like give me all those guys over Santos at big underdog status. So not a fight I like one bit either. You said it could be a 1-star. I do not hate that.
Yeah. And I mean, if you are picking Strickland to win or in your DFS lineups, then Susurkaev definitely makes a lot more sense in that case. But all of my lineups are going to come preloaded with Chimaev this week.
Yeah, but I did want to make that caveat because there's going to be some people out there that think Strickland wins, or at least more likely to win than his money line shows, or they're just going to play this for a fight fade that Chimaev scores or wins and maybe a first round submission at 102. And if you have any of those as an outcome, then Susurkaev does become more appealing for sure. Let's get to a fight that I'm excited for, and I'm going to be overweight too for DFS. Pat Sabatini minus 210, taking on William Gomis plus 110. This fight is, Pat Sabatini minus 210, William Gomis plus 180. This fight is plus 110 to finish. Pat Sabatini plus 175 inside the distance. William Gomis plus 460. So the line has gone in the wrong way in terms of the fight to finish. It was minus 110 on Tuesday, now plus 110. With that being said, I agree with the line movement, the overtaking money. William Gomis is probably the most boring fighter in the UFC. All the dude likes to do is stick and move. And when I say move, like it's like run around the cage and not be touched and be in a really boring fight. But with that being said, why I'm playing this fight is Pat Sabatini is a very good DFS player, 4.48 takedowns per 15 minutes. He wants to wrestle, and all he wants to do is wrestle. His UFC wins in terms of DraftKings scoring, 7 of his 8 wins have scored 90 plus, and 5 of those has scored over 100. Whether it's a decision, whether it's a finish, he has 100 plus point upside. And to make it even more appealing, Gomis is a striker. So I'm looking at this as wrestler versus striker. Definitely have interest in the wrestler at 9K. I rarely play Gomis in DFS, but I will play some this week. And it mainly has to do with he's 7,200. If we have a lot of favorites win and Gomis scores 70 and 75 and wins, that might be enough to be optimal. And then to make things even more appealing, Sabatini's chin is not good. 3 of his five losses by knockout. If he can't wrestle in this fight and it has to stand the feet, Gomis is live to get a knockout in this one. So I'm going to be overweight probably both sides. I prefer Sabatini due to the wrestling, but one of the few fights that I'm actually going to be on the William Gomis train and play some at 7,200. What do you think in this one?
I just agree with everything you said. I prefer Sabatini. He's the one with the ceiling in this fight. He's going to try and get takedowns. He could get a submission in any round. But I think if Sabatini wins, he's probably going to put up a pretty big score. But he has to get takedowns. If he can't get takedowns, which are also going to be hard to do because Gomis, all he's going to be trying to do is avoid action, just running away from Sabatini and then picking some shots when he can. But if it's on the feet, he's going to be winning. He's just not going to be scoring unless he's getting that knockout. So I'm fine playing a little bit of him if I am MMEing. There's other underdogs if I'm on limited lineups this week, but Sabatini is one of the favorites that you really can't pass up because he is 9K, could put up 120 points in a decision. So I like Sabatini. It's just Gomi's a bad matchup for DFS players because he's going to make it tough for Sabatini to score the way he usually can. But yeah, Sabatini's my pick.
Yeah, I mean, you and I see it lockstep for sure. I was surprised to see this fight open -115 to finish because it's a William Gomis fight. But yeah, that has since changed. Now plus money for it to finish. We'll go to the next fight. Marco Tulio and Roman Kopylov. Tulio -190, Kopylov +165. This fight's -160 to finish. Tulio +105 inside the distance. Kopylov +400. Another fight where the over is taking money on Tuesday. It was -180 for this fight to finish. Now -160. I'll let you go first on this one since I've taken the last couple. What are your thoughts?
Man. All right. So I'm interested in both sides of this fight a little bit, but I have it as a 2-star because I'm picking Tulio to win. And if he doesn't wrestle heavily, then I still don't know how he scores enough points to outscore Chimaev, Ateba, Sabatini even. And there's other guys that can outscore him too. So I need Tulio to come out here and either wrestle heavily or knock Kopylov out, which I really wouldn't rely on because I think Kopylov is the better striker of the two. Tulio is just the more aggressive striker, the one probably pushing forward. But I don't think he's scoring many points in a striking match against Kopylov. So I'm just not going to get too much of this fight. And for me, it's going to be probably Kopylov is just who I'm able to afford in my lineups. At 7,300, I know I'm going to have Chimaev in there. There's other favorites I like as well. If $7,300 is what I need for a cheap underdog, I think Kopylov could win a decision and score around 10x, but he could also get a knockout and score over 90 points. So I think Kopylov is probably my preferred play. Tulio is just the more well-rounded fighter, and he's my pick to win.
Do you think there's any takedowns in this fight from either side?
Yeah, I think Tulio should be landing takedowns. I would say his at least 1.5.
All right. I mean, Kopylov has good takedown defense, 88%. Fluffy only went 3 for 14, which is why I asked. But I think Tulio will be the more willing wrestler in this one. I agree. Like Kopylov is my preferred play because he can knock out anyone, but it's mainly he's 7,300. Like if this fight goes to decision, which it's not supposed to, but it's two primary strikers. If it does go to decision, 60, 65 could be enough from Kopylov, even though I wouldn't love it. But for Tulio, like he's going to be the same ownership as Ochoa, who it sounds like you like more. But Tulio has a much better inside the distance prop, +105 versus +235 for Ochoa. And if we're just going based on round one props, round one, he's +350. +350 is 22%. We haven't projected below 22% right now. And if you, again, maybe a knockout in 1 minute and 30 seconds with one knockdown that scores 103, maybe that's not optimal, but at ownership, I would definitely sign up for that. So when you're just looking at round one, 22%, his ownership less than that, that will make me have some interest in the Tulio side, especially when I am playing the Van Tyra fight. And then Chimaev, chalk. And again, a lot of that will be Chimaev Van if you were playing Tulio for 8,900. Then maybe I will be looking add some Tulio to mix in there to get a little different. I struggled to pick between Tulio and Ochoa as my preferred play. I ended up siding Tulio because of that round 1 prop, but it's definitely close. And I think because Carpenter could, like if Carpenter wrestles in the first fight, Ochoa spends it off his back and then knocks him out in round 2. Not going to get there where I don't think Kopylov wrestles, but I still prefer Kopylov for the savings. And again, a lot of my teams will have Chimaev. That's why I do need dogs on this card. But Tulio is one, plus 105 inside the distance. The fight's still minus 160 to finish. I will be playing some Marco Tulio. Appreciate everyone hanging out. 40 watching live right now. I know many watch on playback. We do this on Thursday night. But yeah, appreciate everyone hanging out. SGH said, who are your favorite DK cash plays? I don't want to give everything away since we do have MMA cash report or the core report. We do have cash plays on there. But what I'll say is focus on these 2 5-round fights. Usually that is something that you want to do in the cash streets. But you do get half the lineup in the cash, half my cash lineup in the core report right here for FanDuel and for DraftKings. Let's go to the next fight on the card. Some old vets, 37-year-old Djorden and 42-year-old Jim Miller. Djorden finds himself as a minus 290 favorite, plus 245 for Jim Miller on the way back. Second of 3 fights, expected to go the distance at plus 135. Gordon plus 225 inside the distance. Miller plus 425. Gordon in round 1 plus 600. It's tough for me to get to too much Djorden. A lot of that has to do with, again, if I'm playing Chimaev, he's $9,300 as Gordon. That's a big price tag for a fight that's expected to go the distance. I prefer Jim Miller if having to choose in this one because A, he'll fight for your dollar, and I could see this being a close decision when it's all said and done. He has some sneaky power, obviously very good jiu-jitsu. It mainly comes down to he's $6,900. He'll fight for my dollar, and that's enough at $6,900 to mix in a little bit when I'm playing a bunch of Chimaev. But yeah, I'm curious to hear how much Djorden you think you'll have.
Yeah, another fight I think I'm going to avoid. I usually do like Gordon because I like his pace that he comes with on the feet, and then I also like his wrestling pace too. He's a guy who can get 5+ takedowns in really any given fight. But in this fight, Miller is a dangerous submission guy. I feel like his best chance of beating Gordon would be locking up some sort of choke. So I don't know how much Gordon is going to go out there and wrestle if the striking's going his way, which I think he will be the higher volume striker. The one winning the minutes on the feet, maybe he'd get clipped there too, and that would be his worry. But I just think that most of this fight plays out on the feet, and at $9,300, that's a tough price to pay for a striking match. So I'll be avoiding it. You did make some sense with Miller. I mean, if that's what you need, $6,900, he could finish Gordon. But I just don't see him winning minutes. I mean, this guy's like 40. He's about to turn 43 years old, man. I just think his days of winning minutes are over. So if he doesn't get a submission, I think it's a wrap for him. So I'm just going to pass on this fight. Hope that Gordon scores 80.
Yeah, I mean, I ideally would want that as well. But for me, like I said, I do not love too many cheap underdogs on this slate. So if I'm looking at the cheapest, Ozzy Diaz 6,400, Santos 66, Sean Strickland 67, and then we get Jim Miller. Like I might have 0 Strickland, Santos, or Diaz. And if that's the case, then Jim Miller's the next one up who I would be fine with. And I do think we'll get to Jeremy Stephens in a little bit at 7K. Like Jeremy Stephens might be like 18%, and Jim Miller might be 8%. So if you're building a whole chalky lineup and you just go Stephens down to Jim Miller, that could be the difference between like a 20-person dupe and a solo shipper. As crazy as that sounds, I do think people will gravitate more towards Stephens as the cheapest option. And like I said, Jim Miller will fight for my money. I know he's about to be 43, but the dude's been doing this for a long, long time. Still got a little tread on the tires, I think. So I'm going to be cheering for a Jim Miller winning this one, and I will not have much Jared Gordon.
Jersey guy too. Miller trying to get a win. I'm sure he would retire if he gets a win out there in Jersey.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool for sure. I'm rooting for Jim Miller for sure. Easy guy to root for, no doubt about that. Let's get to one of my favorite fights on the card, a mid-tier fight, Grant Dawson and Mateusz Rebecki. Dawson minus 165, Rebecki plus 145, minus 110 for this fight to finish. Rebecki, the underdog, better inside the distance prop at plus 180, while Dawson is plus 350. as you can see on the stone, I mean, a lot of green in the takedown department for both of these guys. You can also see on Tuesday, Grant Dawson was minus 182 favorite, now a minus 165. Rebecki taking some money. Dawson's going to want to wrestle. How do you see this fight going?
I like this fight. Dawson's going to try and wrestle, and when he does, he's a high-paced wrestler. I think he's going to put up a big score if he wins, and he could put up 6+ takedowns in this fight and have 10 minutes of top control at 8,300. So I definitely like Dawson a lot. But at the same time, if I can't afford him, I'm okay going down to Rebecki and just kind of hoping that he blasts Dawson, because Dawson just can't hang with Rebecki. Maybe volume-wise, he can kick out, throw out kicks long enough until the takedowns are there. But if the takedowns are not there, Rebecki's going to knock out Dawson at some point. So I see a big score coming either way in this one, more likely from Dawson. So he is my preferred play. But on a card I'm hunting for underdogs, I'm not against going down to Rebecki. And same thing you mentioned from the Miller and Stevens, the whole dupe thing. If you really like a Dawson lineup, maybe just duplicate it. Throw a Rebecki lineup in there too. That'd take you from 50 dupes down to 4 or 5.
For sure. And I'm definitely fine doing that. So this would probably be, I mean, outside of Tyra Van, I think my favorite fight on the card. Like, I'm not saying the Strickland Chimaev because I'm not really picking Strickland, but of course that you can add that one in. But after that, when we're talking both sides, like you can just see it in the wrestling department. Rebecki at 7,900 is plus 180 inside the distance is phenomenal. And I do think that we see both Sean Brady and Grant Dawson get quite a bit of ownership, 8,300, 8,400 with their wrestling upside. So I think Rebecki offers you leverage and plenty of upside. So if I'm not playing Grant Dawson, I mean, I probably want to play Rebecki and leave 400 or leave a couple $100. This would probably be a 5-star fight for me. I absolutely love this one. Favorite fight in the mid-tier. One of my favorite fights to target on the card. I will definitely be hoping this fight is optimal. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, a phenomenal real-life fight. I'm excited for this one. Yaroslav Amosov taking on Joel Alvarez. Amosov minus 170. Alvarez plus 145. Minus 115 for this fight to finish. Alvarez, the underdog, better inside the distance prop at plus 225. Amosov plus 250. I'll let you take this one away. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, it's similar to the Dawson Rebecki one. Those are my next two favorites aside from the title fights. They're right there in the mid-range. Both guys are dangerous. Amosov is going to be the way better wrestler. He's going to dictate where this fight takes place. But he is going to want to wrestle, and nobody really wants to wrestle Alvarez because he's one of the most dangerous submission guys really in the UFC. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I think that Alvarez came into the UFC as really more of a pure submission guy. And now he's a dangerous striker. I don't think Amosov is going to want to strike with him. Alvarez is dangerous there. He could finish him anywhere. So I'm fine with both sides of this one. Amosov is going to be our minute winner, the guy who could put up 125 points in a decision, but Alvarez could get a finish in any second in any round. So I'm fine with both sides. I really don't even know who I bet I picked Alvarez because he's the underdog, but I went back and forth on this fight so many times. This was my toughest fight to call. So I guess since he's only 7,700, Alvarez is my preferred play.
Alvarez is my preferred play too. I just think the dude's a beast. So seeing him in the underdog, I'm almost always picking him. Obviously, Susurkaev made him an absolute mess, but he's $800 cheaper on a card that I need underdogs is really what it came down to. But I'm really excited for this one. Like this Amosov dude looks like a complete monster. I will be playing some as well. Why I like the Rebecki Dawson fight more, and I think I like Sean Brady Buckley more as well, is these two might just be such good real life fighters where it kind of negates itself in the fact of being like a high-paced war, fun DFS fight. If it's on the feet, like they can both be trading and landing, but if it goes to decision, unless it's just a pure wrestling dominance on one side, it very well might not score. So I think I have this number 3 in terms of mid-tier fights. For sure, Dawson, Rebecki, I like more, and I for sure Sean Brady more. And then when we get there as well, like if Buckley has the same performance as Morales last fight, he can easily get a knockout. So this fight is number 3 in the mid-tier for me, but I like it. There's no doubt. I'm more excited for it in real life than DFS, but I will be playing it. 7,700 Alvarez is definitely appealing for me. All right, we'll keep it rolling again. Appreciate everyone hanging out again. All we ask is the like button and subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. I see your question, Almabic, but we will talk about that when we get to that fight. I'm curious to hear Big Marley's thoughts. I have some thoughts myself, but we will talk about that when we get there in 6 fights. We are going to the biggest favorites by a mile on this card. Ateba, Gautier, minus 1,800. Osman Diaz, Ozzy Diaz, plus 900. Minus 1,000 for this fight to finish. Gautier minus 750 inside the distance. Diaz plus 900. Gautier minus 200 in round 1. Open minus 165. I'll throw it right to you. And I'm wondering if you have, sometimes you have like the first minute props on there. I'm wondering if you do have that.
I didn't look it up. I can try as we go along, but yeah, for this one, it's just going to be, can you afford Ateba, especially if you're coming with a preloaded Chimaev lineup? I don't know that I'll be able to. I haven't built enough lineups. I know the one lineup that I did build, I wasn't able to afford them. I'm not going to go to any Diaz. His way to win would just be to survive early and then land more strikes throughout the next 2 rounds. But for me, it's going to be Ateba or pass. You are going to need that first minute knockout, though, for him to be on the optimal lineup, I would imagine, because he's not going to be looking to wrestle. He's also not going to be crazy volume in a 15-minute fight. So we're going to need a 60-second or less knockout. Let me see if I can find it real fast. If you're, all right, how about if you're playing 150 lineups, how many Ateba do you think you'll be able to get to?
13%.
13. That's not bad.
Again,
I know for a fact I'm not going to have 150 this week. I'm
totally guessing on that. One thing I want to say when you're looking that up is a card I shipped last year with the Susurkaev card. There was a $9,800. I'd have to look at the exact price. I think it was $9,800 that did get the first minute bonus and put up 126. And I want to say the next highest score was like 113, and he still was not optimal and really wasn't even close. So not even all first minute bonus wins are guaranteed to be optimal on this card, which is another extra layer to mention.
So fight ends in first 60 seconds is plus 400. Almost all that equity is going to be for Ateba, but that's plus 400, 20%.
20%. Man, the thing is, like on this card, if Chimaev gets 140 and outscores Ateba's first minute, like it's really tough. So 20%. So I think I feel good about 13%. I don't know.
I mean, I would rather pay up for him than go to Susurkaev, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't know that I'll be able to get to either one of them. I know I'm not going to have 150 on this card. I'm not going to have much time during the day if anything happened to change my lineup. So I'm going to be real limited on my lineups this week. So I just don't know that I'll be able to get to them.
That makes sense. I think 13% sounds pretty solid for me. I think I would be fine being around there. But again, not all first minute bonus 20%. If he gets 127, you take it. There's no doubt about that. But I do think he more than likely comes in overall. Now, again, if you're on the Sean Strickland side, or the Chimaev just comes out there, gets one takedown, gets a quick first round submission, and Chimaev doesn't get like the 120 plus, then Ateba becomes a lot more appealing in my opinion. So we're both on the same page. We're kind of tipping our hand. We think Chimaev puts up a nuke in this one where you absolutely need him at 9,500. Then it's a little harder. I don't love the $9,800, $9,500 spends, especially because when you do that, almost everyone's then going to go to Joshua Van, and then people are going to go to the Dawson Rebecki fight, and then maybe Alvarez or Buckley, or I think it goes, you go to the same path as a lot of people. So if you are doing that, maybe that's when you play a Jim Miller or a Stevens or a Gomis, I guess, won't be too popular. So I just want everyone to be cautious. We'll talk about it at the end again. But when you start your lineups with Chimaev and Van, I think you have to be cautious about the rest of your teams. If you're going Ateba, Van, then I think you can do Ateba, Van, Chimaev. Then I think you maybe just I don't know. Maybe that's different enough. Let's see what we have. What we have Ateba's ownership at quick. 32%. If that is the case, I will definitely be way lower owned than that. But maybe a lot of Chimaev teams or fade Chimaev teams go and plug in Ateba to start. Maybe I can see that. Yeah. It's a fun card. There's a lot of different routes to go. 2 5-rounders always makes it fun, and 13 fights adds a, or 2 5-rounders adds a different dimension. 13 fights usually spreads itself out a good amount anyway. So I'm excited for this one. I'm pumped, but I will hope Ateba wins. I hope he wins not in the first minute, and I hope he scores like 106, and that is not going to be enough at 9,800 more than likely. All right, we'll keep it rolling. I'm excited for this fight. King Green taking on Jeremy Stephens. Wow, so this line moved a lot. I looked this morning. It was minus, holy cow, it was minus 350 this morning. Now it's minus 420 I'm seeing. Taking on Jeremy Stephens, plus 320, minus 110 for this fight to finish. Green plus 185 inside the distance. Stephens plus 340. So you can see when I did these odds on Tuesday, it was minus 325. It's almost a whole dollar King Green has taken in this one. The fight opened plus 100 to finish. Now it's minus 110. So the under is taking money. But the favorite in King Green's inside the distance has gone the wrong way. Open plus 160, now plus 185. Whereas Stephens, the underdog, open plus 465 inside the distance, now plus 340. I think I love watching Jeremy Stephens fights, and I love watching King Green fights. King Green will keep yapping and throwing jabs and punches at the hip, whereas Jeremy Stephens hits like a truck. Is this the fight King Green goes and tries to wrestle and mix it in a little bit, or do you think he just wants to show he's the better striker and we get an absolute war on the feet?
Yeah, I would imagine he's going to go out there and look to strike. He would only look to wrestle if he eats a big shot, more of a recovery mode type of deal. That's how I see it going down. But if you go out there and beat Stephens in a striking match in New Jersey, I think you're looking at 50K, 100K, whatever it is these days. So I'd imagine that's what Bobby Green is looking to do, help pay off that new strip club he just bought. But Stephens, you're just playing him for the knockout chance. I mean, he's one of the baddest dudes that's really ever been in the UFC, but he's also lost, I think, more than anybody that ever lost in the UFC. He's got a losing record overall in the UFC, like 30-something fights. He hasn't won since before I had kids, man. So it's been a long time, but
2018.
If he can get a knockout, he's gonna score well. But I don't think I'm gonna take my chances on that with limited lineups. MMEing, I would take my chances on some Stephens lineups, but 10 or less, I just can't get there. I think there's other underdogs who have a better chance of winning minutes, and that's just not going to be Stephens. Green, I think he is the tempting DFS play because he won't get too much ownership because he is $9,200, but he can put up really good volume in a 15-minute fight even, and he could also maybe get a knockdown in there as well. Stephens is tough. He'll get back up. And you mentioned he could wrestle if he wants to. He's just a better all-around fighter in this one, so Green is another way I'm looking at possibly getting different on this card. He's my pick to win.
I'm definitely playing King Green. I think my favorite pivot, or at least one of them. Your Ochoa is my King Green. Now, I do think King Green will be higher owned than Ochoa, and especially seeing him now minus 420. I almost hate to see that. I liked him more when he was minus 325 because I think ownership was going to be lower. Regardless, I'm still playing it, though, because if he finishes, that's just icing on the cake. But he can land 200 significant strikes in a 15-minute fight. He could go out there and just wrestle, or he can dump him down. Stephens get back up, strike a lot, dump him down. I think Mason Jones had 8 takedowns against Stephens last time out. There's just multiple paths for King Green to be optimal in this fight. And if he does just strike the whole time, that gives Jeremy Stephens the chance to knock him out, to land on the chin. King Green has been knocked out multiple times. Stephens hits like a truck. But I am worried. So I kind of, now that I see the line movement for the whole dollar, I don't think Stephens is going to be like the 20% and then Jim Miller 7. So I want to retract my statement a little bit. This is really recent line movement. The 20, it was minus 400, now minus 420. Someone hit it during the show almost. Yeah, literally 10 minutes ago. That line moved 20 more cents. So unfortunately, the more it moves, the more people will go King Green because Chimaev King Green 95, 92, and then you jam mid tier and one lower tier is very viable. So I'm definitely going to play it, but I'm going to keep a close eye on line movement, projected ownership, because I could see people getting to him even with the subpar inside the distance prop. He can score 108 in a decision win. due to some wrestling and a lot of volume. So I'm going to play this fight. I'm very excited for this one in real life for sure. Yep. Definitely agree with you, Corey. Phenomenal fight. All right. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. Like button helps us out a ton. Subscribe button as well. Next fight on the card, a very good one. Sean Brady and Joaquin Buckley, minus 155 is Brady. Buckley plus 135, minus 130 for this fight to finish. Both guys are plus 220 inside the distance. A little money has came in on Buckley, not too much since Tuesday. The over has taken a little bit of money as well. Sean Brady, always good DFS play, 3.53 takedowns per 15 minutes, taking on Buckley with some big boy power. Buckley did just fight a wrestler in Usman, though, and had no answers. Brady will definitely try and do that same game plan. However, he is coming off a knockout loss to Michael Morales, who stayed at distance, was an absolute sniper, knocked him out. I think Buckley is going to try and implement that same game plan. Keep it at distance, use your length, use your jab, try and knock him out and put some hands on him. Do you see it going that same way, and who do you think wins out?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just one or the other. Either Brady wrestles heavily and puts up a big score, or he gets knocked out and Buckley puts up a decent score himself. So I think this is a really good fight to target. I think the worry in this one would be Brady wins the first half, gets knocked out in the third round or something like that, and Buckley puts up 50 in it with a knockout. But I'm just going to be targeting this one heavily. Brady is my preferred play. I think the wrestling will be there, and hopefully the chin will hold up.
I agree. I like the Sean Brady side too. With that being said, I think it's similar to the Dawson Rebecki fight, where I do think Sean Brady is higher owned. People will look at the game logs. They will know how much he can wrestle. And I don't love the idea of just going Brady down to Buckley and leaving 600. It's viable, but because salary is pretty tight on this card, I think I'm more likely to upgrade somewhere else. But I mean, Buckley has 100+ point upside. Let me check round one props on both. Pretty much the same. Brady plus 500, Buckley plus 550. So very similar, even though Brady finds himself as the favorite. But even if this fight goes the distance, Sean Brady can put up 120. I almost always pick Sean Brady. I'm going to do it again. But I think the game theory play, Buckley at 7,800 plus 220 to finish and leverage off of Sean Brady is pretty interesting. All right, keep it rolling. 3 fights left. The only heavyweight fight on this card is, don't think it gets too much ownership as it is the last fight that we're talking about that's expected to go the distance. It's actually the most likely to go the distance on the card. Alexander Volkov minus 150. Waldo Cortez Acosta plus 130. Plus 155 for this fight to finish. Volkov plus 285 inside the distance. Acosta plus 385. How do you see this fight going down?
Yeah, I think this is actually going to be a 15-minute, fairly technical striking match between two heavyweights. So I'm just going to avoid it with limited lineups, that is. With MMA, I'd be okay sprinkling either guy in. Volkov more to get different. I don't think ownership will be on Volkov, but he is the more likely wrestler. He could get a knockout. Acosta is interesting because he's an underdog on cards where we really need underdogs on. He could get a knockout. He could also win minutes in this one. And maybe it is like a changing of the guard type of deal, but he isn't that young himself. So I'm just not too interested in the fight because I'm picking Volkov to win. But for DFS, I think my preferred play would probably be to save the money, go to Acosta, because I know that'll help me get up to the Chimaevs that I know I'm trying to get to.
100% agree. I don't love this fight. I don't love the upside of it, but Acosta is definitely my preferred play for being 1K cheaper, but also the line movement. On Tuesday, minus 180 was Volkov. Now he's minus 150. So 25 cents has came on the Acosta side. It might only keep moving as well. So for his price, the money line's good. Inside the distance is iffy, but I mean, I guess if that means like he's going to get a lot more ownership because of it, I still wouldn't love it much because I agree with you. I think it just stays on the feet. Acosta can win minutes. You see, lands more volume. Volkov's tough to put away. I think, like you said it right away, a technical 15-minute striking match. And if that is the case, it probably busts. But I mean, I'd rather have Acosta on my teams than I would Volkov for 1K less, and maybe 65, maybe 70 is enough, or maybe he gets a knockdown. Maybe he finishes the fight. It's heavyweights. You can the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You see Volkov at 6'7". I will be cheering for Acosta. I will not have much Volkov at all. But I don't love the upside in this fight. It's mainly the price tag and the money line that is drawing me in. We have 2 fights left on the card. Just want to share again. If you skipped the beginning and you're checking this out, shippingnation.com. This is our homepage. If you have not gave us a try, $49 for the first month. You can get 6 sports: NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, NASCAR, MMA, MLB, and PGA. And that does include showdown content. Bottom left, join the nation if you want to see some other packages. If you don't want to spend $49, you want to give us a try first. 5 days for $19. You get SaberSim. You get the Discord and access to all of the sports above. If you are just playing MMA and you just want MMA, you can go to single sports, MMA, less than $1 a day. You can get all of our content. $29 a month. If you want SaberSim, only $20 more. It gets you Discord. It also gets you in the MMA community. We are in there a lot, sweating out fights, a great community for sure. And if you know you'll be with us the whole year, it's even cheaper. I mean, look at that. Almost 50 cents a day right here for the annual content for MMA. You cannot beat that. Projections, ownership. The stone will be filled in, slate plan, tier rankings, everything you need, including an education video, more education where Big Marley and I broke down different strategies for cash, for tournaments, our styles, answer questions. You can also find us in the Discord. All right, 2 fights left. Absolutely 2 phenomenal fights. 2 title fights in this one. We are talking about the flyweight championship. Was supposed to be at UFC 327. Joshua Van had a minor injury, so it gets rebooked for this weekend. He finds himself as a plus 140 dog taking on Susurkaev, who's minus 160, minus 190 for this fight to finish. Tyra plus 120 inside the distance. Van plus 265. I don't think you can get any more grappler versus striker in this one. I'm not trying to discount Tyra's striking. His leg kicks has improved, but when Van's on the feet, he throws a whole lot of volume. And we know Tyra on the mat is nasty. He floats, good back taker. He will be trying to get this fight to the mat for sure. You have more stars on the Van side, so it looks like you're going with the dog in this one. I'll let you break it down first.
Yeah, going with the dog because I think it should be a little bit closer to pick him. I don't think Tyra can hang with Van on the feet, especially over the course of 25 minutes. Van's just going to be too much. He is the slicker striker. I think he'll be the more dangerous striker, and that volume is just he's not going to hang with that volume for sure. So Tyra's going to have to grapple. If he does, I think he could get a submission. I mean, really in any round, but if he's grappling early, I think he's more likely to slow down late. Van, I don't think will slow down. But also Van's only been grappling like a couple of years in his lifetime. So I think Tyra is going to have a big edge in those first couple of rounds. Could be over before Van even gets a chance to get off. But man, Van's just so tricky. I think he's going to be able to get up. He's going to make it tough for Tyra. And I just think eventually Tyra might start to slow down and Van, the volume's going to be there. And I think he could get a stoppage at some point, put up 100 plus at 7,500. So Van's my preferred play. I'd say most of my lineups are going to start Van, Chimaev, and I got to figure it out from there.
You definitely got to get different from there if those are your first 2. Again, I think those are the 2 highest owned on the card. I wanted to pick Joshua Van because of the line as when I first looked at the fight, and I thought I was going to, but the more I dove in, Van's been taken down at least once in 5 of his 10 fights. And if Tyra gets you down, it literally might just take 1, which is the worry. He's so good on top. He's so good for the back take. I just think the chalky route, plus 185 by submission, now plus 190. I mean, that's what I'm picking to happen. I think Tyra does get it to the mat. And when he does, I don't think Van's going to have an answer. Like you said, he's only been grappling for a couple years. That's not good when Susurkaev is on your back or when he's floating on top. There's levels to the game, and I am very worried. Tyra does get him down pretty early, and when he does, I think Van's in for a world of trouble. I'm probably going to be underweight Van. Now I want to ask you this. Are you going to have 100% of this fight? And if not, how does it fail? Or even if you are, I guess, how does it fail?
Yeah, I mean, I am with limited lineups. If I was making 150, I wouldn't make it a rule, but I think I would have their projections high enough to where it would get me close enough to almost all in. How does it fail? Maybe a first round Tyra submission and it just doesn't score enough points, or Tyra dominates the first 2 rounds, gets knocked out in the third, something like that.
Yeah, I think the round 1 submission's a little harder for me because it's only 8,700, but maybe like Pat Sabatini scored 91 or something like that in a first round win, which probably wouldn't be enough. I think the more likely outcome, like you said, is Van dominates round 1, or Tyra can't get a takedown, and then Tyra gets an early round 2 takedown and gets a submission. I don't think that does it. If Tyra absolutely dominates the first 2 rounds and Van gets a third round knockout, but then still, I mean, at 7,500, you're probably taking that. So I do think it probably has to be Van winning round 1 and pretty convincingly, maybe even the first 2 rounds, and then Tyra in the third round getting the takedown and the submission or something. I'm not making it a rule just because of how chalky it will be, but I'm probably going to have 100%. Are you more likely to fade this fight or the Chimaev fight?
This fight, because I know I'm going to have Chimaev in all my lineups.
I think I'd be more likely to fade the Chimaev fight, hoping he scores 105 or 100, like gets that first round win, and 9,500 isn't enough. I'm going to have a lot of it for sure, though, and have to find ways to get different. But it's a really tough one to get away from. Clash of Styles, 5 rounds to work, only 8,700, 7,500. That's a couple $100 mispriced on both sides. Over 3 takedowns for Tyra per 15, over 8 significant strikes for Van. It's a great fight to target for DFS. There's no denying that. Thankfully, though, we do have 13 fights, so you can find pivots in there, whether it's Ochoa, low-owned Kopylov. I don't even know after that. This fight's chalky. Stevens maybe a little bit. This Volkov Acosta fight, even though I don't love it. You can always leave money on the table, though. And sometimes like a 10 dupe team maybe should be a 20 dupe team, and it's still plus ROI. So you don't have to fully try and find the solo shippers. Play somewhat of the best plays, a lineup you think will win, and then make one pivot, leave a little money, and yeah, get different that way is how I see it. Prizes are massive this week. If you're chopping first place with 20 or less, I promise you will be happy, especially in the flagship. All right, it's main event time. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out with us through the whole thing. We have a phenomenal fight. Khamzat Chimaev minus 600, taking on Sean Strickland plus 425. This is for the middleweight strap. Minus 250 for this fight to finish. Chimaev minus 200 inside the distance. Sean Strickland plus 775. Chimaev in round 1 plus 250. And to be honest, I think the worst case for Chimaev backers is a round 1 finish more than likely. If it's 1 takedown and domination and then submission, I think that is the most likely outcome. Chimaev fails in this one. The longer the fight goes, the more you almost want, because I mean, we just saw Chimaev score 242 DraftKings points in a 25-minute decision win over Trikis. That is insane numbers. That's Marab, and there is pretty much no one else after that. I mean, yeah, I don't see how Sean Strickland does it. Like, Chimaev's out of this world. I've never picked against him, said future champ from the get-go back when he was fighting during the COVID time overseas in Abu Dhabi when he fought on Saturday, and then Wednesday, I believe it was, or something crazy like that against Porker, and then Reese McKee. Like, the dude was special. It was so obvious from the get-go. Gilbert Burns arguably beat him, was really close to beating him, so no one is untouchable, but I mean, yeah, how does Strickland win is my question, because we already know you're jamming it. So how does he win is my first question. And then we got to get to these two. Any chance fading Khamzat is optimal? And then is locking him in 150 a dumb idea or a sharp idea? And then I'll answer these questions in my opinion.
Well, I'm not the greatest 150 player, so I'm not the best to answer, but if I was 150 in like the mini max, $450, I would lock them in. If it
because
was,
you treat that, let me interrupt. And you're saying that because you treat it as more of a single entry where that's less dollar amount in your for you. Whereas if you're doing like, so that's a bankroll
risk reward thing. Yeah.
But let's say it's the 25. Let's say it's you're 150, because you know what I mean. $450 to some people might be a lot more of their DFS bankroll. So Big Marley's saying if it's if that 150 max is like a normal amount of money or not crazy amount of money, he's more likely to do it. If it's something that's pretty significant where you usually diversify because it is a relatively good amount of money, it sounds like you wouldn't do it. Is that a correct assessment?
Yeah. If I was doing 150 in the
25.
I wouldn't make a rule.
25, 3,750 this
25 this week. Yeah. So even more. I wouldn't make a rule, but at the same time, I would have Chimaev just plugged in for probably 20 more points than anybody else on this card. And the only way I don't get there type of deal would be that the salary just doesn't fit, I would imagine, which I'd be okay not having it if that's the case. I just have nobody priced over 9,400. That'd be the only reason I'd want to not have Chimaev, but nobody can touch Chimaev's ceiling. I don't think this is the type of fight where Chimaev gets a takedown, locks up a rear naked choke. I think he's going to want to hurt Strickland. I think he'd rather have the ref rip him off of Strickland rather than choke him out in the first couple minutes. So I think we're going to put up a over 110, which is probably going to be enough, but I would imagine it's going to be over 120 or 130. He's nasty. I mean, nobody's going to beat Chimaev, I don't think. But the way Strickland would just be to weather a massive early storm, tire him out, and get a late knockout.
I agree with a lot of that. So let me go down. Is you never lock? What is that, dumb or sharp? I wouldn't call it dumb, but it's not. It's definitely not something I would do. For what Big Marley said, and kind of like this, is 110 enough to make the winning lineup? I would put it as like a 60-40 chance that it does, but I think his ownership comes in over 60%. So if I knew he would score 110, I would be well underweight. I maybe have 20% Chimaev, because then when you win, when he's not optimal, it's a lot more likely that it's 5 dupes or less. Whereas if Chimaev is on the winning lineup, it's going to be a lot harder to do that, especially when I'm not making these other crazy stands. So if I know it's 110, I am going to be way underweight. If I know for sure it's going to be 110 and you're saying, is that optimal or not? I think it's 60-40 yes, or something like that. 105, like I'm not taking 105 on this card at 9,500. So is it dumb? Not dumb. I would not say it's sharp, though. I do not see the best players in the world, the Sheets of the world, who's always in our Discord. You can get his thoughts. He almost never locks people. I do not think Sheets will be locking Chimaev this week. Whoever you think the best players in the MMA streets are, that 150, I do not see them hitting the lock button on Chimaev. So I do not think it is the best way to do it. But I'm not going to say it's dumb, because the I know fights take like we have, I mean, he very well might. And if he does even score 110 or 115 and you do lock it, even if it's not optimal, which would be a little sad if you're locking it, like you're raising your min cash equity on a lot of your lineups right there. Any chance fading Chimaev is optimal? And that also, it comes down to, all right, the people priced below, or Susurkaev. If you think Susurkaev gets 115, if you think King Green is scoring over 100, if you really like Marco Tulio or Jared Gordon, it not only depends on what Chimaev does, it depends on what those other high 8K, high 9K, or 9K fighters do. If you really like the King Greens, the Ochoas, the Susurkaevs, the Sabatinis, the Tulios, then it is easier to fade Chimaev. If you do not like them too much and you think they all score less than 100 or right around there, it makes it more difficult to fade Chimaev. So you also have to think about that. For me, I like Pat Sabatini's upside a lot. I think Tulio has pass, but I don't love it. And I like Ateba quite a bit, but man, that 300 more than Chimaev makes it difficult. It's the King Greens and the Sabatinis are my two favorite after. Obviously, Tyra is already a given. And then that mid-tier, the Sean Brady, the Grant Dawsons. But because they're so different price than Chimaev, like you can play them with Chimaev. So you can't really compare them in a vacuum, in my opinion. Hard to picture Chimaev winning lineup that's duped less than 10 times without leaving 1,000 in salary. Yes, but no. Because, I mean, if you play Jim Miller or you play Ozzy Diaz or you play Alexander Volkov, or you play Jose Ochoa, or it's a Susurkaev Chimaev team, it's roster construction ways that you can do it. And there'll be there'll be lineups that without any dupes that do play Chimaev and Van. If you play Chimaev and Van, the two chalkiest fighters, you can still make a lineup that will not be duped. But then after that, and not even leave that much money, but after that, you are playing, again, an Ozzy Diaz, maybe a Jeremy Stevens and a Jim Miller, and you're going to stars and scrubs no one wants to do. You can do it, but it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's where ownership definitely comes into play. MMA projections, you get our projections and ownership, cumulative ownership, but also just the individual ownership on one or two guys. If you're playing two sub 10% or two sub 15% fighters, leave $200. You can play Chimaev and Van, two of the chalky options, and do it that way. So yeah, it's possible. It's just, you got to get a little uncomfortable in some spots. And that's kind of also where it comes back to, where like, instead of playing, an Ozzy Diaz and a Jim Miller, or just Ozzy Diaz period, and having a solo shipper, I'd almost rather have 15 dupes with some of my friends and not play Ozzy Diaz, because I just don't think the odds are a lot better that way. So sometimes higher dupe lineups still will sim out better and be better because they have a more likely chance to win. But in a very high variance sport, I will never complain about a solo team, because when you win, how much do you win? Or I got to shout out to my guy, Ian McGill. Sometimes you don't only take first by yourself, but you take first by yourself 3 different times with that same lineup. Legendary stuff there. But I also don't recommend doing that. And I've told Ian that as well. But when it works, it definitely is nice and absolutely legendary. That's it, over an hour talking some UFC at 328, 5 p.m. Eastern in New Jersey. Live crowd, big cage, 2 title fights, 13 real fights. Fingers crossed everyone makes weight, because if so, we are in for a treat. 200,000 up top in the flagship. Always love talking fights with you, Big Marley. Final thoughts before we get on out of here.
Nah, man, hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's a profitable one. Good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
Let's ship it indeed. Hope to see people in the MMA Discord. Again, shipitnation.com. You can find all of our different packages, whether it's all access, whether it's 5 days for $19, or the single sport MMA package. We would love to have you. I hope we see some Shipping Nation logos up top when it's all said and done. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Be safe. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Good luck. Peace.